Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the report tabled by my chair, Honorable Adan Maalim. Madam Speaker, I have perused through the report and I have observed some few areas I want to comment. Madam Speaker, first I would like to appreciate the committee for the good work they have done. Madam Speaker, preparing such financial report requires a lot of energy and a lot of dedication. And because of that, I want to commend the committee for the good job, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as alluded by Honorable Member for Banissa, last year, such a time, I had a serious concern on some two areas, Madam Speaker. And one of them is the bending bill, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as a leader who has been around for a few years in the floor of this House, I can imagine the pain our suppliers were undergoing as far as the issue of bending bill is concerned. Because in our residences and in our offices, Madam Speaker, always we get people who are complaining about bending bill. And to that effect, the CEC Finance has provided 423 million, Madam Speaker. Among the most important, when our people suffered the severe and prolonged drought, is the issue of water tracking, Madam Speaker. And water has been provided with 200 million, Madam Speaker. I know that is a tip in the iceberg, but 200 million will eventually solve some serious problems as far as those people who are waiting their money for the last 2 to 3 years, Madam Speaker. Those who have done. In my ward, just as an example, Madam Speaker, I had a supplier who was tracking water for 150 days, Madam Speaker, using his own fuel, paying the allowance of drivers, the turnboy, the mechanical breakdowns. Of course, that challenge coupled with the poor roads in some of our areas, Madam Speaker. And you can imagine the kind of frustrations that person is facing. So I want to commend the Treasury and the committee for allocating funds for a bending bill, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the second issue is the ongoing projects. Since the inception of this second term of government, Madam Speaker, we have had people who are given projects. Many of them have been paid, and some have not been paid. I want to also commend the CEC for providing 700 million to the ongoing project. That is a good initiative, Madam Speaker, and I want to commend the committee for considering that. Madam Speaker, the other area which I had a worry such a time last year was the issue of ONSO's revenue target, which this county has never achieved, Madam Speaker. I could see it as unrealistic. But today, from 360, the ONSO's revenue has been revised to 280, which is a bit realistic. And FIF, Madam Speaker, which has been passed by this assembly, from 322.5 to 250 is also realistic, Madam Speaker, because we all know the challenges our county is facing in terms of collection of revenue. Madam Speaker, that is an area I have also noted something has been done. And then the issue of emergency fund. Madam Speaker, we have had 3 rainy seasons failing, and that is why we lost a lot of our mainstream livelihood, that is livestock, as a result of the prolonged drought. Madam Speaker, we had only 100 million for emergency when that kind of disaster was happening in this county. But God forbid, if that repeats today, 301 million has been provided in the budget, Madam Speaker. That is also a plus why I support this, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, lastly, on the issue of elimu kwa wote, Madam Speaker. I know challenges are there, but if something is to be celebrated by this county, something that this government has done, and Madam Speaker, is the provision of subsidized free secondary education, Madam Speaker. And that has elevated the suffering of many people from poor background just to finish 4 years of secondary school in Madam Speaker. And you can imagine, Madam Speaker, over 22,000 students have benefited from this fund. And that is, if that is to be translated into votes, that is something very important, Madam Speaker, for a politician. And that can give this government a lifeline for the second time, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, lastly, there is something that worried me. I have consulted the chair, but still, I am not convinced. I don't know how it should be done, but in page 37, I don't know whether the senior clerk is here in this. The amount of carried forward for the financial year 2025-2026 for the county executive and the county assembly was not captured in this budget. However, the CCM for Finance assured the committee the same will be provided in the next few months. I don't know how I should be guided, but I request this to be expounded from the report. Honorable Sir Dahir, page 37, the last number 8. I don't know, but my worry is that for it to be captured, it requires a supplementary. But I still hold the view that it should be expounded from the report. And I have a reason for that. Because this will be a public document in the few minutes after this assembly adopts. And of course, the chair will reply, but that is the view I hold. Otherwise, this document is superb, and I support.